Вітання з українського кризу.
Good afternoon. We are at Ukraine Crisis Media Center, and we continue our briefings on. We use the best practices. We have 706 territorial communities. The capable communities should be formed, and their goal is to provide decent conditions for the inhabitants of the territories. Polianska community is very powerful, potent, and is working on changing the lives in the community. About the creativity degree of Polianska community and the space like fast projects been implemented there, we will talk with Mr. Ivan. Zakarpattia Oblast is the only oblast which do not have plan of forming the communities, but 6 consolidated communities have already been formed. What made you to unite? Zakarpattia region has 6 consolidated communities. They have united not because someone wants them to unite, but to the contrary, because they do not want us to consolidate. We are geographically in the center of Europe. This is our location, and our citizens spend a lot of time abroad. Lviv, Ivano-Frankivsk, Zakarpattia, Chernivtsi should be flagships in this process, and for some reason it happens otherwise. There's regions which are close to the border. The decentralization program there is not fast, and the people do not have influence on their monetary flows in the communities if they're not consolidated. What was the reason why you had this intention to consolidate? Poliana in Svalava district has always been among the best and most advanced communities. The conditions we formed for investors, for the businessmen who implemented construction projects of the hotels, and there are jobs which provide the principal revenue part of our budget. So Poliana territorial community was not in the bad condition, but adjacent neighboring 2 communities were in worse state. So this situation remains for years like that. If you are a resort area, this means that not only your community should live well, but also the adjacent communities. How the situation has changed? Your community is 1 year old. It is interesting how the budget have changed, what the budget looked like before the consolidation and after the consolidation. 9 villages have been consolidated into one community. The budget was 10 million before the consolidation, and 43 million. This is fourfold more we had in the budget last year. These funds, the portion of them, they were subsidized by the state. This is a subvention for education, for healthcare, and our own funds, which we get from income tax revenues and payments for property. So half of the budget are our own local funds. Where did you spend them? We spend them for those communities which we added to our village. Those villages didn't have street lighting. So we expressed our goodwill. We have 9 deputies from Poliana, but they understand that neighboring villages, they need more funds because roads and lighting and payments should be available not only in Poliana but also in neighboring villages. The community should be united, and the even most remote villages should have cultural centers in operation and healthcare centers in operation and schools. Have you completed all your projects or only a part of them? Of course, during 1 year we have not completed all the projects which we should have been done previous years, but it was the impetus. When it was the process of consolidation, people thought that from the neighboring village they will travel 20 kilometers to Poliana to be issued certificates, but now they should not go somewhere. They get the documents within 10 or 5 minutes issued, and they are shocked because they get registration of civil status documents very fast. 2 minutes long are processes of issuing any certificates at our administration services center. Upon consolidation, you said that your community use your funds as you wish. And the situation when the community is not consolidated, then this community goes back into district or regional administration to be allocated some money from regional budget. This issue was the ordinary way of living for those villages which exceeded our community. So the question was about the neighboring villages, not about us. We have managed to resolve our problems ourselves. We have never gone begging. The village budget was 600,000 hryvnias, and this year the village I am talking about has budget of 4.5 million, but not 600,000 as before. In Poliana, we completed only small works in 2017. We sent all the money, we allocated all the money to those villages where the infrastructure was absolutely lacking. Poliana is a strong community, and I know that strong communities in our country do not want to unite, to consolidate with the villages in poor state. I have always been keeping to this responsible position. The whole world united because some communities were better developed and better financially sound, and some communities were not. So this should be the burden of those who want to unite. This is them who need to bear the burden of decentralization process in Ukraine. There are some good managers who have millions of money earned by their enterprises, and they have neighboring villages which are very poor. So the idea is to level up where one person doesn't know where to spend the money and the other person doesn't know how to buy bread, how to earn their living. So building of kindergarten schools, this is not a new idea so far, because 2 years of decentralization we have passed. But those communities which look into the future, they are implementing large projects. Do you have such large long-term projects? Of course we have. In 2017 we have held very many meetings with researchers, universities of Košice, of Uzhgorod National University, of Academy of Sciences of Ukraine. There are very many research developments to be introduced somewhere, and we thought to find how we can apply science in our community. In Rodnikova Guta, the most remote our settlement, it is talked this year more about than Poliana. Rodnikova Guta, we wander out to Rodnikova Guta. We want investors to go there. We want visitors, tourists to get there to have recreation. Then they will have incomes, they will have money, they will have jobs. What is this project about? On February 16, at Poliana Territorial Community, there will be a huge research conference with participation of University of Košice, Uzhgorod University, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Slovakia, Academy of Sciences of Ukraine, Ministry of Regional Development of Ukraine, Ministry of Healthcare of Ukraine will send the representatives, so we will host it in there are previous accords. We wanted Rodnikova Guta to build, we want to build a research project in Rodnikova Guta related to biological additives to food products. The idea, the name of the project, its title is
Paradise.
Rodnikovый Paradise. So everything, electricity and heating will be from environment. Only wind, solar and water energy will be used. So this would be zero consumption buildings in this project. For 20 or 30 years we have been perceiving Carpathians as a place for recreation. Only recreational sites with mineral water and skiing, but nobody look onto Carpathians as onto the base for biological additives to be produced, because we have herbs which are indigenous and unique. I demonstrated one herb to one researcher. The researcher said to me that this herb can cure 70 diseases if you molecularly divide the solution made of this herb. No university has such laboratories where such additives could be produced. Do you know how much this project will cost? Of course, this project costs millions euros. There are people, there are universities, private investors who are interested in this project. So Beijing National University, we suppose, also will join us, and we will fund the funds to build this project. The main thing is for the conceptual decision to be adopted on February 16, because there are many research experiments conducted that this is reality. To produce such additives, and the laboratory assistant will have 2,500 euros salary. So you will have a large conference soon. What decisions you expect from this conference? We suppose that the agreement will be signed on cooperation and agreement on implementation of this project. Just this one, not our project. The agreement on cooperation between the universities which I mentioned, just on this project of producing additives, the universities are interested. There are no research base for students and researchers to research the herbs. The Eastern Europe doesn't have such laboratories, and we hope to build such laboratory. We hope you will build it. You said that you also intend to develop alternative energy sources. Alternative energy in our locality has been spoken about long time, but small hydros have not been built in our locality. Sometimes this is political opposition who are contrary, and One of the first projects will be completed in the scope of this Rodnikovi Paradise project. The solar batteries will be installed and they will generate electricity. I know that in your community you have a problem of land parcels. Do you see the solution to this problem? I have already told about those shares, land shares. In the Zakarpattia region, the decision should be made about land shares of citizens. These shares were divided some time ago and people received the certificates for these land shares. Some people have died and some young people, maybe 50% of land shares of those parcels, they are now wooden. Nobody tills them because as they are not used for agriculture these days. On the one hand, we can't deprive people of their land shares because we can't change the purpose of those lands legally. So some decision is needed for the Zakarpattia region. In Kiev, the land share is equal to 5 hectares, and in our Zakarpattia region, this is 90 hundreds of land, arable land, and they consist of 10 or 1200 square meters plots, so several plots one person have. We need to address this problem some way so that in mountainous regions people administrations can change the intended purpose of lands. And I would like to ask you about your strategy. Maybe in this document you will be developing some vision of land issues. Maybe you will address solutions in your strategy. 3 days ago we have presented our annual next report, and according to the strategic plan we are at the final stage, and there are very many problematic controversial issues in the strategy. You know, when the community was consolidated, the territorial consolidated communities will dispose the lands within the limits of the council. Talking about the development, we need to go beyond the limits of built areas, developed areas. But the law goes so, and there is no law adopted, new law is not adopted. The state authorities at the top level, they started the process, but they did not end it. The draft laws, they are submitted and registered, and they have passed the first reading, and now you can address the deputies, you can address MPs and ask them to vote. Yes, I would like to call on the deputies on behalf of all territorial consolidated communities. It was one of the conditions why, it was one of the reasons why communities decided to unite because this was promised. We have too many questions to the leaders of the country. The decentralization process could not stop at halfway. And now when we ask anyone, give benefits to those categories which are eligible, pay compensations to those categories, groups of populations which are eligible to benefits, and we ask from which source we should pay. There are so many benefits and only one source of revenues, which is income tax. Some part of budget of the state should be allocated to us so that we pay these benefits. The strongest resource in the community is people. You told that most of them are abroad. They are working there. We should think how can we return them back. To this end, we need good education, good living conditions, jobs. Poliana faces this problem less than other settlements because Poliana has been developing since 2016 and jobs are available to everyone who wants to work, and salaries are not bad in Poliana. And in general, in our district, our region, the percentage of migrants who go to work abroad is very low in Poliana. I have been reading much and I read your interviews, and you told that children cannot be provided recreation just as statistical units. I meant that the Ministry of Social Protection present reports to the country, national report, that they provided recreated to children, which was fake. In their understanding, recreation means that on May 25th, the academic year ends and children from 26th of May till the 1st of September, they go to school and they just stay at the yard of the school, and after that they report that the children were recreated. I experienced this recreation camp, which is fake. It was with my own son. My own son experienced this. We were waiting for those vacations for a long time, and 14 days you should go to school just to stay there in order that the ministry can report that you have been recreated. This is fake recreation and I am against it. As far as I understand, the community has been provided powers to recreate children. On the basis of Olympia camp, the children from all schools proportionally went to the camp. First, we conducted medical examination to children, and we formed a group of children, and we sent them to a camp, real camp, and people have very good impressions, and they want to go to this recreational camp. This is beautiful.
I know that recently you became the head of the Association for Pure Environment. And what are the tasks of this organization? The Association Zakarpattia for Clean Environment was created by local bodies of government and the Polianska community, Szawska community, United Community, and the community, Межигір'я, Велике Березне. They also joined Bushtino, the Chechesky region, and Uzhgorodsky region council. The main task is the construction of the system of water sewage. And the systems were built in the 1960s, and they do not meet the norms now, and they are incapable to provide the result that the recreational area needs. And we raised this issue, and now we are at the stage of the project. We organized this association, and we declared about ourselves at the international level and at the level of the Ministry of the Regional Development. The program was signed of Prereska Dalina, and the European Union allocated 600 million for this project, and this is also for the management of solid domestic waste. So we faced the same problem, and now several other settlements want to unite, and I am the head of the association. We created a headquarters, and we want to apply one project, the overall project, for 23 million of euros. And out of these 23 million, Poliansky will get 2,300,000. So we will distribute this money among the settlements. And what about this projects? Do you have specialists for writing such projects? So it is like riding a bike. If you are able to do it, you will be able to do it always. So we have people who have experience of writing such projects, and we do not see a problem here. So you are riding a bike, right? So you have many initiatives, a lot of work. And what about the cooperation with executive power, regional, Ryan power? Do you help them? Do they help you? So this is a serious issue. I would like to say, when you asked how, I would say they live their own life and communities live their life separately. So unfortunately it happens so that in Zakarpattia executive power do not take part in the life of united communities, and sometimes they even create obstacles. For example, what do you mean? For example, the letters from the Ministry of Regional Development sent through the regional administration, and these letters are we do not get these letters. And for example, we should provide answer, and the letter is in delay, and some so they even prevent us from getting some information. And I called to the Ministry of the Regional Development, and we were provided with this letter, but this was in delay for 2 weeks. So why do you think So they want to show that everything is bad, and when we got united, they said that in 2 months you won't have money, and they will die in a half year. They stopped saying so, but in half year they said that we took money from Svalava, but there is so first they say one thing, then they say the other, and when they so we do not need their help. Legislative basis of Ukraine is enough in order to implement the functions, and they should just not create obstacles for us. So your community exists only for 1 year. So first there was 1,000 per resident, and now more than 2,500 per resident. So the reform is working. Maybe in the neighboring communities, maybe in other regions, other people who want to get this experience from you. Do you share your experience? During this year, we had 20 delegations at least in order to share experience, and our workers provided the experience to them. So this was a big work, and from Zakarpattia people came, and in Zakarpattia we have several communities that got positive conclusion for unification, but at some point they stopped because Oblast administration, for example, there are 4 settlements, they want to get united, and they go there and say, why do you need this unification? We'll give you 2 million for the road and everything will be okay. Do not get united. So there is some they provide some money to them in order not to get united. So I would like to ask one more thing. Once you've said that decentralization will be a serious challenge for the community, did this come true? And decentralization is a challenge for all of Ukraine, and for those heads who want everything good for their community, this is a great burden on their shoulders. And I didn't expect that it would be easy, but during this year we've coped with those tasks that we faced, and I think it is difficult to speak about it. And I don't like when people who do not deal with it when they speak about it. So the main indicator of our development is the opinion of the community, and we want to gather our community and provide the opportunity to speak, to express the opinion, and this is connected with the development of the strategic plan, and people should express their opinion. People should participate in those processes that are ongoing in our community. Thank you very much for this conversation. We were speaking with Ivan Drohobetskyi, Poliana village mayor. Thank you.